Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Lindsay and you're watching my channel, A Sight to See. I spent the past 5 months backpacking 26 cities around Europe, Denver, Colorado, and Kona, Hawaii, funded by nothing more than my salary from bussing tables. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how I accomplished exactly that. I didn't do this by selling products online, digital marketing, or working with brands. Legit only bus tables. Let me just start off by saying that it's probably a lot easier than you think. I used to watch other videos of YouTubers quitting their jobs and traveling the world, and I was like, how do they do that? I want to do that. While I may not have found many other videos of people doing this step by step, I figured out how to do it on my own. And now I'm going to show each and every one of you exactly how I did it in my way. Step 1. So step 1, and this might sound cliche, but it's actually probably one of the most important steps, is you need to have the motivation to do this. And that's not really easy. The path to quitting my job was not sunshine and rainbows, but sometimes it was 16-hour shifts with 5 hours of sleep in between for 5 days straight. Here's my time card to prove that one. So you need to get in your mind that this trip is going to be your #1 priority. Your #1 priority above morning coffee, going to concerts with your friends, going out for drinks after work, sleep, etc. Are you on the same page? Then let's move to step 2. So I work for the Cheesecake Factory. I don't serve, I bus tables, which will usually make me between $80 to $120 on average per shift. A lot of people would come and go at my job because of the hard labor, which usually resulted in me getting more hours. So make sure you get a job that allows you to work over 40 hours a week, or if not, get another job to go with it. You don't need a college degree to make you enough money to travel the world. You'd be surprised how much money you could actually make in restaurants if you've never worked in one. Making cash is way better than working an hourly position at a retail store unless you're making over $22 an hour. With the 60 to 90 hours a week I'd be working, I'd be pulling in about $700 to $1,000 a week, which pulls in between $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Busy chains tend to pull in more guests and have more hours, so keep that in mind. And when you work in a restaurant, you're often given free or discounted food, which saves you money from the grocery store. If you don't want to work that much per week, this goal is still possible, but keep in mind that it only took me 5 months to save a way to go away for 5 months. Step 3. Now it's time to cut down your expenses. I used to live in a house with my best friend where my rent was $545 a month, my car insurance was $200 a month, utilities were $200 a month, we would have to pay for pest control and getting our lawn cut, and that all equaled about $1,000 a month for my expenses. And even though I was still putting away money, I wanted to put away more money faster. So once the lease was up, we didn't renew it, and I went and I lived on my mom's couch for the last 3 months before I left. That dropped my monthly bills to $200 for my car insurance, $50 for my Adobe Creative Cloud, and $50 for my new storage unit, equaling $300 a month. Let's add in food and gas and just say about $400 a month, spending the bare minimum. No new clothes, no new electronics, nothing extra like that. So I started putting away $2,500 to $3,000 a month, which equaled me out to having about $14,000 after only 5 months of saving up before I left. Now I know many people don't have the option to live with their parents, but there are still other options to help bring your cost down. Offer your friend a few $100s a month to stay on their couch, or rent an Airbnb. Some Airbnbs actually give you monthly discounts for staying for a longer time, and though it may not be ideal, it's only for a few months. And you don't have to pay for utilities either. Step 4! Alright, now you have the money for your trip, so it's time to start looking for discounts. Every penny counts the day that you quit your job, so I learned how to save on almost everything. Let's start with transportation. #1, you're gonna need a one-way plane ticket, so you're gonna want to start looking long in advance. But make sure to clear your browsing data, as the cookies will show the prices as much higher than they're actually listed, because they know you've been watching this flight. Use websites like Skyscanner or Google Flights so you can actually look at the entire month and see which is the cheapest day for you to leave on. Also look for cheap airports to fly out of. If I left out of Atlanta, my one-way plane ticket to Ireland would have cost me $700, but instead I left from Stewart Airport in New York and it only cost me $183. Look how much more money I have for my trip with that, and it wasn't that expensive to get me to New York. Also, when I was leaving Europe, the cheapest airport for me to fly out of was in Paris, where I got a one-way non-stop plane ticket to Denver, Colorado for $250. Those are the steals that you have to look out for. That was the main reason I ended the European part of my trip in Paris. Being flexible with your dates will help you so much in the long run. #2, it's time to think about your transportation in Europe. I bought a 3-month-long global Eurail pass that got me everywhere that I needed to go in Europe for no extra cost. Yes, I do know that there are reservations that cost money, but I'm actually going to make a separate video talking about the Eurail Pass and how I used it with no extra cost. I bought my Eurail Pass on Cyber Monday where it was 40% off, so if you're looking to take a trip like this in the next year, I would look for those holiday deals and commit, because you can really save a lot of money that way. It was about $900 for 3 months of transportation, and the prices have even gone down since I bought mine. That's about $10 a day. Unbelievable. beatable. Okay, so you're getting to Europe, you're getting around Europe. Now, where are you gonna stay when you get there? Well, the cheapest option I would suggest would be hostels. Booking.com and Hostelworld were two websites that I used to find the cheapest but still decent hostels in each of the cities that I stayed in. I found hostels from as cheap as $7 a night in Budapest, Hungary, and as much as $50 a night in Switzerland. Some countries in Europe, like Croatia and Hungary, our money goes farther, but most of the countries do take euros, or say Switzerland that takes francs, and in those countries you are gonna have to budget a little bit better because our money doesn't go as far. I suggest looking on Hostelworld, but booking with Booking.com because Hostelworld will charge you a small fee when you book with them, and if you book on Booking.com, you actually will get discounts the more times that you book with them. And finally, in this discount step, we're gonna talk about food. There are some places in Europe where grabbing a bite on the street is very cheap. I had a wonderful meal of goulash and bread in Budapest, Hungary for $4, and it was so good and so fresh. But going out in Switzerland, it was really hard to spend less than 30 francs a meal at a restaurant. I only did that once. So I would splurge on meals occasionally, but mainly I would be eating food from the grocery store. Even in Switzerland, you can get meals for cheap if you make them yourself. Most hostels even have a kitchen that you can use. Step 5! Now that you know the gist on how to save money on your travels, it's time to actually start planning your trip. Yes, the exciting part! I made an entire 60-page spreadsheet before my trip. I started by listing every country that I wanted to see and finding the average price of hostels in these cities per night. This let me know how much time I could spend in a certain place. I tend to over budget just in case something bad happens, but I had an average budget of about $77 a day. This includes all food, hostels, and transportation. So that means if my hostel was $40 a night, I would have $37 extra to spend on myself per day. If you plan out your activities that cost money ahead of time, it will help you budget better. So one of the first things you should think about when trip planning is how much you want your budget to be the day you leave, and how much you're going to be spending a day. While I was out there, I kept track of exactly how much I spent per day, and if I was over or under, so I knew how much I had left total. You want to try to keep yourself out of the red. Step 6. You have your budget, you know how to save money, you know the places you want to go. Now there's just one more part, planning your route. You want to make sure when you plan your route, you're not going to waste your time and money bouncing around the entire continent, but following a set path that will reduce your time on the train. Here's how my route went, and I planned that specifically so I could be in Paris at the end of my trip to take my plane back to the States. The longest I've spent on a train was 13 hours, and it was pretty brutal, but I did miss a train connection due to one of my trains being late. It happens, so be ready for that. I'll also be going over that more in my Eurail video. So make sure you plan a route that works best for the countries that you want to see and the times of year that you're going to be there. So there you have it. Those are the 6 steps that I took to quit my job and travel for 5 months. It changed my life and was worth every single table that I bussed. It was worth going to work crying and coming home from work crying from overexhaustion. It was worth cutting out buying the newest things and going drinking after work. I see the world and life so much differently now, and I want to encourage everyone who has the same dream as me to start the process as well. If you have any more questions about something that I didn't cover, please leave a comment down below or message me directly on my Instagram at ASightToSee'ers. I'm also going to link the video of everything that I packed in my trip right over here, so you can check that out if you're wondering what I needed for that amount of time. I know the title says Bali and I went to Hawaii instead, but you'll be surprised that once you're out there, how much of your trip might change along the way. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please smash that subscribe button so you can follow me on all of my travel journeys and learn about more helpful tips for backpackers. I will catch you guys on the next one.